Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're tackling print on demand on Etsy, but we're skipping the whole getting started thing. You guys are way past that.
Yeah, we're going to jump right into the juicy stuff today.
Avoiding those common pod pitfalls right from the start.
Exactly, like how to level up your pod biz, right from day one.
Love it. We've got a ton of expert advice and real stories from all sorts of sources, all boiled down just for you.
All the best tips and tricks in one place.
So no need to read all those books or sit through those webinars.
We've done the homework for you.
Perfect. So today let's zero in on two key areas: pricing and picking the right products.
Sounds good.
Let's kick things off with pricing, because that's always a hot topic, right?
Oh, absolutely. Pricing can literally make or break your business. And one thing that keeps popping up in the research, even seasoned sellers struggle with it. It's underpricing.
Underpricing. But doesn't it make sense to start low to get those first few customers?
It's tempting, I get it, but underpricing can set you up for failure big time. Let's say you've got a custom t-shirt that costs $7 to produce and you're selling it for $10.
Okay, $3 profit, not too shabby.
Hold on, you're forgetting about Etsy fees, listing fees, transaction fees, payment processing, all that jazz plus shipping.
Oh, right, all those little things.
They add up fast, and suddenly that $3 profit is practically gone.
Wow, okay, so those fees can really eat into your profits.
Exactly. So what's a realistic profit margin to shoot for?
Yeah, what should we be aiming for?
Good question. The average for PFD is somewhere between 25% and 50%. But for a truly sustainable business, you really want to aim for at least 40%. Think of it as your safety net. That extra cushion lets you handle unexpected costs, reinvest in your business, and, actually pay yourself.
Got it, 40% noted, but what about the flip side? What about overpricing? Won't that scare customers away?
There's definitely a sweet spot. High prices can signal quality, but you also got to consider who you're selling to and what they're willing to pay. Etsy shoppers are smart. They compare prices, read reviews, they do their research.
So it's a balancing act between value and competitive pricing.
Exactly. And check this out. 43% of sellers say that mispricing either too high or too low messed with their business.
Whoa, almost half. That's huge.
Right. So getting your pricing strategy right is super important.
So how do we find that sweet spot? How do we make sure we're pricing things right?
This is where things get interesting. You got to know your costs inside and out. I'm talking base product costs, printing, shipping, and all those Etsy fees. Then add in your profit margin.
Okay, so there's some number crunching involved.
Don't worry, it's not rocket science. There are tools out there like Printify's profit calculator. They can make things a lot easier. They even factor in Etsy toys for you.
That's super helpful, especially for those of us who aren't math wizards.
Right. Once you know your total cost per item, you can use a simple formula. Price equals cost divided by 1 minus your desired profit margin. So let's say your total cost is $15 and you want a 40% profit margin. You divide $15 by 1 minus 0.40, which gives you a selling price of $25.
Okay, I'm following. So you work backwards from your profit goal to make sure you're not losing money.
Exactly. And don't forget to check out what your competitors are charging.
Right, so we're not just plugging numbers into a calculator, we're looking at the bigger picture too.
Exactly. You want to be competitive, but remember, competing just on price can be a race to the bottom. Nobody wins that race.
Okay, I'm starting to see that smart pricing is more than just picking a number. It's a whole strategy.
You got it. It's about knowing your costs, your value, and your market. And it's an ongoing thing. You'll need to revisit your pricing as your business changes and grows.
This is already super helpful. I think this gives our listeners a great foundation to refine their pricing. Now let's move on to the other piece of the puzzle: product selection. This is where things get fun, right?
Totally. There's so much potential in the POD world, but there are also some traps even experienced sellers fall into.
Okay, so we've tackled pricing. Now let's dive into product selection. I mean, there's so much you can do at PO, but what are some of the biggest mistakes people make when they're picking what to sell?
One of the biggest pitfalls I see is going too broad, trying to be everything to everyone. It makes sense at first glance, but spreading yourself too thin actually makes it harder to connect with any one audience.
Right, it's like trying to be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Exactly. You won't stand out if you're just another generic t-shirt shop. Instead of being everything to everyone, focus on a specific niche, a group of people with shared interests, find your tribe.
So instead of like generic funny t-shirts, I could target cat lovers with designs that really speak to them.
Exactly. And it's not just about the design, it's about choosing products that fit that niche. For cat lovers, you could do t-shirts, mugs, tote bags, even cat beds with funny slogans.
I see. So it's about creating a whole vibe around your niche, not just slapping a design on any random product.
You got it. A cohesive product line tells a story, it builds a brand identity, and that makes you more memorable and helps customers connect with your shop.
Okay, so niching down is key. What else should we be thinking about?
Another mistake is overloading your store with too many different products right off the bat.
Yeah, I could see how that might be tempting.
It is, but too much variety can overwhelm customers and make it harder for them to find what they're looking for. Plus, managing a ton of inventory can be a real headache.
So it's better to start small and then scale up strategically as you learn what's working.
Absolutely. Start with a smaller selection, maybe 10 to 15 designs across a few popular product categories. Focus on doing those really well. Then, as you get feedback and see what's selling, you can gradually expand.
That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of designs, let's talk about quality. I imagine low quality or unoriginal designs can really hurt a POD business, even if you have the right product selection.
Oh, absolutely. In a visual marketplace like Etsy, high quality design is non-negotiable. Low resolution images, generic clip art, or even worse, copy designs can kill your credibility instantly.
It's like serving a gourmet meal on a paper plate. The food might be amazing, but the presentation just doesn't do it justice.
I love that analogy. Investing in good design, whether you're learning the skills yourself, hiring a freelancer, or buying high-quality graphics, is essential. And don't underestimate the power of professional product mock-ups.
You mean those images that show the design of the actual product?
Yes, they help buyers visualize how the product will look and feel in real life. Dull, blurry mock-ups can make even the best designs look unappealing.
It's like the difference between seeing a movie trailer and watching the whole film. You want those mock-ups to be exciting and engaging.
Exactly. Now here's a pro tip that many sellers miss: order samples from your POT provider.
Wait, really? You mean order the actual products ourselves?
Yep, it's crucial for a couple reasons. First, you get to check the print quality and material firsthand. Are the colors vibrant? Is the print durable? Does the fabric feel nice?
So we're not just relying on online photos. We're getting a real-life tactile experience with the product.
Right, it's all about quality control. And second, ordering samples lets you double check the sizing and fit, especially for apparel. You don't want customers getting ill-fitting clothes and leaving negative reviews.
That's a great point. It's better to catch those issues before they become a problem for your customers.
Exactly. Think of it as investing in customer satisfaction. Now, we've talked a lot about what to avoid, but let's shift gears and discuss some actionable strategies to make your pod business truly stand out.
All right, let's get tactical. Okay, so we've covered pricing and picking the right products, all super important. But what are some things we can do right now to really take our Etsy pod biz to the next level?
I'm so glad you asked. We've got a whole bunch of tips and tricks to share first, and this goes back to what we were talking about before. Get super specific with your niche. Don't just stop at dog lovers, go deeper.
Okay, how do we do that?
Think about specific breeds activities, even like dog mom versus dog dad humor. You can find all sorts of hidden niche opportunities by looking at Etsy search data. What are people actually searching for? What's trending?
So we're doing some keyword research, seeing what's popular, but also looking for gaps we can fill.
Exactly. Tools like eRank or Marmalade can be really helpful for that.
Great. So we've got our niche figured out. What's next?
Pricing, of course. Remember that pricing calculator we talked about? Don't just use it once. Make it part of your routine. Track your costs, your fees, and make sure you're hitting that 40% profit margin.
Right, because costs can change, and we need to stay on top of that to make sure we're actually making money. Speaking of profit, how do we avoid getting sucked into those price wars? It's tempting to undercut the competition, especially when you're just starting out.
I hear you, but competing on price alone is a recipe for disaster. Instead, focus on building your brand, showcasing your unique designs, and offering amazing customer service. Those are the things that make you stand out and justify a higher price.
So it's about creating an experience, not just selling a product. What about free shipping? It seems like everyone's offering it these days. Should we be doing that too?
It's definitely appealing to buyers, and Etsy's algorithm loves it. But don't just offer it without thinking. Factor those shipping costs into your pricing. You might need to bump up your product price a bit to cover it. The key is to be strategic.
Okay, so we're not just absorbing those costs, we're being smart about them. I like it. Now, once we've got our products listed, how do we make them pop? How do we stand out in the sea of other paisas?
This is where those high-quality mock-ups come in. Think of them as mini ads for your products. Invest in professional, eye-catching mock-ups that show off your designs in the best possible way.
So maybe lifestyle shots with people wearing the clothes, or styled photos that show the mugs or tote bags in a real setting. Tell a story with the visuals.
Exactly. And don't forget about those samples. Once you get them, use them to create your own photos and videos for social media. Authentic content that shows the quality and the personality of your products can really make a difference.
It's about building trust and showing that there's a real person behind the brand. What about marketing? How do we get our product in front of the right people?
Etsy ads can be a great way to get more visibility, especially for new products. Experiment with different keywords and audiences to see what works. And don't underestimate the power of social media.
Right, we can use platforms like Instagram or TikToks to connect with our target audience, show off our designs, and drive traffic back to our Etsy shop.
And here's a final tip that might seem obvious, but it's super important. Know your numbers. Track your revenue, your expenses, your profit margins, your bestsellers. Data is your friend.
It's like having a GPS for your business. It tells you where you are, where you're going, and how to get there more efficiently.
Exactly. Use that data to make smart decisions about your pricing, your products, your marketing, everything. It's all about constantly improving and growing.
Wow, we've covered so much today. It's clear that building a successful pod business takes more than just great designs. It's a whole business strategy.
It absolutely is. But with the right mindset, the right tools, and a willingness to experiment and learn, you can do amazing things with Pod.
This deep dive has been so insightful. I feel like I've learned a ton, and I'm excited to put all these tips into action.
That's awesome. Remember, building a business takes time, effort, and a constant drive to learn and grow. But with the right approach, it can be incredibly rewarding.
Thanks so much for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you found this episode helpful and inspiring. Until next time, happy